Imagine, like, scaling a brand from just $40,000 in early pre-sales
Yeah.
to being stocked in over 250 retail locations.
Which is massive.
Right. You are generating all this revenue, your growth curve is just incredibly steep, and then you look at your marketing team and say, hey, turn down the Meta and Google ads.
It sounds like complete business suicide. I mean, especially since the default playbook for, the last decade, it's basically been to treat digital advertising like a giant megaphone.
Yeah, you just keep pumping more cash in to shout louder than your competitors.
Exactly. But today, we're exploring why putting down that megaphone is actually exactly what the smartest operators are doing.
Because the underlying math of that old playbook is, well, it's simply breaking down.
Oh, totally. The customer acquisition costs on those legacy platforms have climbed so high, relying purely on volume and, raw website clicks. It's leaving a lot of businesses with negative margins.
Yeah, we are seeing this structural shift toward highly intentional, measurable growth systems. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Welcome to today's deep dive, where we are deconstructing how small and medium-sized businesses actually grow right now. We have a really dense stack of research from BrightBrief Weekly for you today.
Yeah, specifically looking at the week of July 5th through the 11th, 2026.
Right. And our mission today is to connect the dots across a bunch of things. We've got a Shopify founder story, some major developer updates from Google, fresh advertising moves from OpenAI and Pinterest, and even some search marketing frameworks from Search Engine Journal and Search Engine Land.
Which basically means we are moving entirely away from that old spray and pray marketing approach.
Thank goodness.
Right. The through line here for you is about building an ecosystem where every dollar and really every piece of content has a very specific job and a measurable outcome.
So to ground all of this heavy tech and AI strategy we are about to cover, let's look at the company I mentioned at the top, Dagne Dover.
Oh, yeah.
They are an accessories company that achieved that massive retail footprint without raising any venture capital.
Which is so rare now.
Right. And their recent pivot to actively reduce their Google and Meta ad spend, it's fascinating because they didn't just cut the budget and hope for the best.
No, they replaced it with a highly engineered word-of-mouth strategy.
Yeah, engineered being the operative word there. Because word of mouth is, usually treated as this happy accident.
Like a customer likes a product, they happen to mention it to a friend, and boom, you get a sale.
Exactly. But Dagne Dover treats it as a structural mechanism. It now drives nearly half of their growth.
Half? That's incredible.
Yeah, half. And they achieve that by deliberately building scenarios where people have a built-in reason to talk about them.
Right, and the source material highlights how they approach sponsorships as a prime example of this.
Yeah. While their massive competitors are pouring millions into, fighting over the exact same broad demographics, Dagne Dover went and sponsored League One volleyball.
They actively sought out an underserved community.
Exactly.
Because you find a room where you are basically the only brand paying attention, and that community repays you with fierce loyalty.
Right, they see you supporting them.
Yeah. But the engineering goes way deeper than just sponsorships. They identify organic, naturally occurring relationships.
Like the NFL teams.
Yes. NFL teams were just starting to use their bags for travel organically, so they build entire content engines and in-person storytelling events around those moments.
And it even translates to the physical retail floor. Like Melissa Mash, the founder, she didn't just send an email to her retail partners.
No, she personally trained the retail workers.
Right. And she wasn't just pointing out, oh, look at the durability of the zippers. She trained them to retell the company's origin story.
She literally gave the frontline workers a script.
Yeah, because an origin story is fundamentally easier for a human being to remember and share than a list of product features, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are equipping your sales channel with a narrative. And you can see this highly functional, intentional approach even in their early Instagram ads.
Oh, the bag interior?
Yeah. They abandoned the generic lifestyle imagery, like no models looking pensively off cliffs.
Right.
They filmed the functional interiors of the bags. They were showing you exactly where the laptop goes, where the water bottle fits. It highlights a highly specific buying reason.
I do need to push back on the broader implication here, though.
Okay, go for it.
Like, if you are a listener running a successful HVAC company, or maybe a mid-sized law firm, the takeaway cannot possibly be to just abandon all your digital advertising and start sponsoring local volleyball teams, right?
Oh, no, definitely not. That would be a disastrous misinterpretation.
Okay, good.
Paid advertising still absolutely works, but it functions vastly better when it's the amplifier for a larger demand system.
rather than just the sole source of discovery.
Exactly. Paid campaigns experience significantly higher conversion rates when the targeted customer has, already encountered your business through a community partnership or a referral or an employee.
So it's basically the difference between cold outreach and a warm introduction.
Exactly. The actionable lesson here for you is to construct that foundation. Find one customer community where your competitors are underrepresented. Create one partnership that produces both exposure and useful content.
And most critically, arm every single employee, partner, or frontline worker with a clear 30-second origin story explaining why your business actually exists.
Yep, exactly.
So Dagne Dover proves the value of engineering a story and producing highly functional content. But the frustrating reality for a business owner is that you can spend days crafting a brilliant video explaining your service right.
Oh, yeah. You post it on social media, and 24 hours later, the algorithm just buries it.
It is entirely ephemeral.
The short shelf life of social content has historically made it a very tough investment to justify for smaller teams. You are essentially just renting a temporary audience.
Right. But Google is fundamentally altering that mechanic right now.
Oh, this is huge.
Yeah. They are rolling out new platform properties inside Google Search Console.
So Google is now allowing businesses and creators to connect their Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube accounts directly into Google's backend.
This is a massive shift. I mean, especially for businesses that operate primarily on social media without a traditional robust .com website.
What's fascinating here is the collision of two completely different marketing silos.
Right.
Historically, your search engine optimization team and your social media team, they didn't even speak the same language.
They were different buildings.
Exactly. But now, Google is turning those fleeting social posts into permanent, measurable search assets.
So businesses can look at Search Console and see exactly which Google queries are leading users directly to their specific social posts.
Yes.
Wait, logistically, how does that even work? Because if I'm an accountant posting tax tips on TikTok, I don't own the TikTok domain.
Right.
So how am I verifying ownership in Google's backend to see that data?
So Google is treating your specific profile URL string as a distinct property.
Oh.
Yeah, you can claim and verify it through specific authentication flows. And once it's connected, it gives you this walled garden view of the search impressions, the clicks, and the leading queries that result in a user landing on your specific TikTok video directly from a Google search results page.
I used the megaphone analogy earlier, but this is more like realizing your TikTok videos are no longer just flyers blowing down the street, hoping someone catches them.
Right. They are becoming permanent billboards on the digital highway.
Yeah. So if a basement waterproofing company makes a detailed video explaining the cost breakdown of a French drain, that video can now sit in Google search results for years,
Capturing long-tail queries and pushing traffic straight back to their TikTok profile.
The practical applications there are just endless.
Oh, absolutely. Like a restaurant owner explaining the sourcing of a new menu item, or a general contractor posting a detailed before and after walkthrough of a kitchen remodel.
Or that accountant posting a tax season checklist.
Exactly. These are no longer just social updates to feed followers. They are indexed business assets.
So how does this actually change the day-to-day behavior of the person listening to this?
Well, you have to stop posting simply to maintain some arbitrary content calendar.
Right.
The mindset shifts from, oh, what should I post on Tuesday, to looking at the hard evidence in Search Console.
You look at which customer questions are actually generating long-term search discovery.
And then you build your future videos, your website service pages, and your advertising creative specifically around those proven buying questions.
Which makes sense.
Okay.
But if people are finding your social videos directly via Google search and watching them on TikTok, that fundamentally breaks the traditional definition of website traffic.
Completely.
Because they are getting the answer they need without ever clicking a link to your .com.
The ground is definitely shifting underneath the entire concept of web traffic, and it is being aggressively accelerated by artificial intelligence.
Yeah. The research from Search Engine Journal makes a really compelling case that raw website traffic is rapidly becoming a weaker key performance indicator for content success.
Because of AI summaries and zero-click searches,
Right.
the user types a question into Google, and AI synthesizes the answer from your website and just displays it right there at the top of the page.
The user gets what they need and leaves.
Yeah. And your Google Analytics dashboard shows a drop in organic sessions.
which usually triggers a panic attack for a marketing director.
Oh, for sure. But the underlying mechanism of the content is actually still working.
How so?
The content is still doing its job of exposing that user to your brand name, validating your expertise, and putting your product in front of them inside that AI summary.
So it's creating brand recognition and demand, even if it's not receiving that final click attribution in your analytics software.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This shift isn't just happening in organic search summaries. OpenAI is aggressively turning ChatGPT into a commercial advertising engine.
Yeah, they are expanding their ad pilot into France, Germany, Ireland, and Singapore.
Which brings their total testing ground to 10 markets,
Yeah.
adding to their existing presence in the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK.
It is a very clear signal that conversational AI interfaces are the next major advertising battleground.
Okay, so if AI is intercepting traditional search traffic and OpenAI is selling ads inside those chat interfaces,
Yeah.
should you, as the listener, be taking your budget out of Google search and dumping it into ChatGPT right now to stay ahead of the curve?
No, the source material strongly advises against moving meaningful budget just yet.
Really?
Yeah. OpenAI is specifically asking advertisers to commit what they call test budgets.
Okay.
This is not a mature, fully benchmarked channel. The targeting mechanisms and the reporting infrastructure, they are still being built.
So how do you approach it safely then?
Well, you observe the format and you run tightly controlled experiments if you have the resources.
Right.
But you have to demand clear controls around brand safety, lead quality, and measurable conversion events before scaling.
Yeah.
You really do not want to pay premium rates just for, exposure in a chatbot.
Let's address the measurement problem, though.
Yeah.
Because if organic sessions in Google Analytics are dropping due to zero-click searches,
Yeah.
how does a small business actually measure the brand lift or the success of their content?
You pivot to measuring the halo effect.
The halo effect.
Yeah. When someone reads an AI summary powered by your content, they might not click today. But a week later, when they are ready to buy, they remember your authority.
Oh, I see.
They type your company name directly into Google, or they type your URL straight into their browser.
So your new key metrics become branded search volume, direct traffic spikes, returning visitors, and ultimately the volume of qualified form submissions.
Exactly. You are measuring the aggregate business impact rather
Yeah.
than just the raw click volume.
Basically, the era of vanity metrics is over.
Completely over.
You have to prove that your content and your ad spend actually drive incremental business value before you double down. And this demand for hard proof, it's forcing changes way beyond search and AI.
Right.
It's even changing how legacy channels like television are bought and sold.
Yeah, streaming TV advertising has traditionally been a bit of a black box for smaller mid-market companies.
Yeah, the barrier to entry wasn't always just the cost of the commercial itself.
No, it was the inability to prove attribution.
Like, you would run a campaign on a streaming service, you might see a bump in sales, but you were relying entirely on the streaming platform grading its own homework.
Exactly. They would claim credit for any sale that happened after the ad aired, and it just left you wondering if the ad actually caused the sale or if it was just, seasonal demand.
Which is why Pinterest's new TV scientific platform is such a vital development in the research.
Yeah, they just launched a certified measurement partner program for streaming TV ads.
Right.
They brought in independent third-party data providers, providers like Incrimdal, Measured, Singular, and WorkMagic to evaluate the campaigns.
So how does that actually solve the attribution problem, mechanically speaking?
Well, these independent providers use methodologies like holdout groups and baseline comparisons to prove incrementality.
Okay, holdout groups.
Yeah, so instead of just tracking who saw the ad and bought, they intentionally withhold the ad from a control group.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. They compared the behavior of the people who saw the commercial against the people who didn't.
Which mathematically proves whether the ad actually caused a sale that wouldn't have occurred otherwise.
Exactly. And that level of location-level, sales-level evidence suddenly makes television advertising a highly credible, accessible channel for a mid-sized business.
It really does.
But the golden rule remains. You have to demand that exact level of hard, incremental proof before you divert budget away from your established, profitable search and social campaigns into streaming environments.
Okay, let's bring all of this high-level strategy down to the absolute ground floor.
Let's do it.
We've established that you need to be highly intentional with your metrics, your ad spend, and your content creation.
Right?
But if you're listening to this and you sit down at your computer tomorrow morning, How do you figure out exactly what content to create next without just guessing or, throwing darts at a wall?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the solution is really about synthesizing multiple sources of truth.
Okay.
Search Engine Land provided a brilliantly tactical framework for this in the research. They call it the three-source content gap sprint.
The three-source content gap sprint.
Yeah, it is a 6-step plan designed to prioritize content based on actual business value rather than chasing empty search volume.
I like to think of this framework almost like auditing a grocery store aisle.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you are figuring out what your competitors are stocking, you're checking what you have hidden in the back room, and then deciding what actually has a high enough profit margin to put on the front shelf.
That's a perfect analogy.
So let's walk through the mechanics of the 6 steps.
Sure.
Step 1 is to select 3 to 5 comparable competitors.
Right, and the word comparable is critical here.
So Yelp.
Exactly. Do not select massive national directories or giant corporations like Yelp or Home Depot. You need businesses that share your actual local footprint or service model.
Okay. And step 2 is identifying the gap. You generate a list of the topics and search queries those specific competitors are ranking for that your website completely misses.
And you can pull this data using software like SEMrush. Or you can literally just do manual Google searches for your core services and map out the recurring questions your competitors are answering.
Simple enough. Then you move to step 3, which brings in your first-party evidence.
Right, so you open up your own Google Search Console.
And you were looking for a very specific mechanical failure here.
Yeah, pages on your site that are generating a high number of impressions but 0 clicks, or pages that are permanently stuck at the bottom of page 1.
Because a high impression count with no clicks means Google thinks your page is highly relevant to the search, but the human reading the search result isn't finding your headline or description compelling enough to actually click.
Exactly. It's a conversion failure, not a ranking failure.
Which is exactly the kind of low-hanging fruit you want to identify.
Oh, totally. Which brings us to step 4, the filter that most businesses completely ignore.
Business value.
Business value. You take this combined list of competitor gaps in your own underperforming pages, and you aggressively filter out anything that doesn't drive profit.
Right. You highlight only the topics that relate to your most profitable services, the topics that address common sales objections, or the queries known to bring in really high-quality leads.
You are stripping out the high-volume garbage that brings in traffic, but no actual revenue.
Exactly. Step 5 is where you leverage AI to do the heavy lifting of organization.
Yeah.
You take this refined, highly profitable list of topics, and you feed it into a large language model like Claude.
Yep.
So logistically, what does that prompt actually look like?
Well, you provide the AI with the raw list, and you instruct it to categorize the opportunities based on execution.
Okay.
So you ask it to group the list into 3 buckets. First, quick improvements to existing pages. Second, new FAQ pages that can be built in an hour. And third, long-term deep dive resources that require heavy research.
That makes it so much more manageable. Finally, step 6 is ruthless prioritization.
Yes.
You rank that categorized list by revenue relevance and the effort required to produce it.
And you completely ignore the raw search volume metrics.
So the most effective way to apply this sprint is to restrict it to just one service category or one physical location at a time, right?
Exactly. The ultimate output of this 6-step process should be a short, highly actionable production queue of maybe 10 items.
It should never result in a bloated, overwhelming spreadsheet of thousands of speculative keywords that your team will never actually write.
Never, because that just sits in a folder forever.
Right. So what does this all mean?
Wow.
When we synthesize this entire stack of research, a very clear picture emerges for you. Scaling a business today is no longer about blind spending or hoping the megaphone works.
No, it is about engineering word of mouth with incredible intentionality. You know, the way Dagne Dover leverages origin stories and highly functional advertising.
It is about recognizing the shifting nature of search, where your social videos can become permanent, indexed assets on Google Search Console.
Right. It requires looking past vanity traffic metrics, understanding how to measure the halo effect of zero-click AI summaries, and really protecting your budget until platforms like OpenAI and streaming TV can prove incremental hard value.
And it ultimately comes down to being surgically precise about what you build next,
Yeah.
using that 6-step sprint to align what the market is asking for with what actually drives profitable revenue for your business.
Basically, it is a fundamental evolution from chasing raw volume to engineering measurable value.
Absolutely. As we wrap up today's deep dive, we want to leave you with a concept to mull over.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time discussing the reality of AI summaries today, how they will increasingly read your website, synthesize your basic data, and deliver answers directly to your customers without them ever needing to click a link.
It's an unavoidable shift in how information is consumed.
It really is. And it raises an important question for you to explore on your own. If an AI can instantly scrape, synthesize, and perfectly spit out all of your facts, all of your pricing, and all of your service lists, what is the one fiercely held opinion, the unique perspective, or the human story within your business that an AI cannot possibly replicate or water down?
What is the whisper that only you can deliver? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
Take care.